Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do, it's Ernie Clan shit again. This all started when a user named Ernie Clan made a video on me which discussed three main topics: me having bad content, me being a bigot, and my webcomic Souls Meant to Burn poorly portraying its themes. I made a response video to his video, and he responded back, not with a video, but with a 4.5-hour live stream. Well, more like 3.5 since he spends an hour near the end just playing video games, but you get my point. I wasn't able to watch the live stream live, unfortunately, since I was doing very important and productive things at the time. But there is a publicly available VOD that I will be responding to. This live stream is interesting. Its points are absolute dog shit, of course. However, there are some absolutely hilarious clips that I'm going to make a quick montage of because it's my video and I can. On my toy house, one of his likes is casual sex, and in his
TF2 reference?
Alright. That's where, I think I want to, I legit want to end my, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just saying, man, it's like, since I'm Christian, only if you're married, man.
This is an abusive relationship.
It's not even BSD, it's just
This
abuse.
is toxic yaoi-o. This toxic yaoi-o.
I can't take this shit seriously.
This is toxic yaoi-o with extra steps.
Phaon's masochistic tendencies balance out EXE's sadistic tendencies well. Like, come on.
This is trash versus garbage relationship. Hey, John, do you hurt yourself?
No, what kind of fucking
Do you cut yourself? Can I lick your scars?
Nah, people clip that and make it look really bad.
That's the type of shit EXE would say. Mushroom Girl, Alien OC.
What?
Unironically, okay, here's the thing, alright? Mushroom Girl has a gay alien OC that is, like, sadistic and, like, pretty messed up. I'm not surprised if... Dude, that's the thing. You literally called him a degenerate, and I would say he is a degenerate because he's literally disemboweling people while they're still alive and eating their remains. Oh my god. Plus, I hate dirty Martians. I hate Martians. I'm gonna get called a xenophobe if I say that.
And just a disclaimer right off the bat, this video will be heavily cut down. I am not responding to 3.5 hours of content. I'll just be cutting out the parts I want to cover. Because of this, I would advise you to watch my last video on him before watching this one, as some of the contextual information may be cut out for time. However, for parts where the context isn't super clear, I'll be putting brief context on the screen. I still recommend watching my first Ernie video though, because you may still be confused even with that context. Also, if you hear multiple voices in the stream, it's because Ernie had someone with them throughout the stream, and then later that person left and was replaced with another person. It's not too important, but just keep that in mind, though I do want to note that the second guest who comes on basically does my job for me, constantly casually correcting him and pointing out the bullshit of a lot of his statements, which, you know what? I can respect that. Lastly, I'll be speeding up the video for time, and I will not be including skip cards for the parts that I cut out, because I'm cutting out a lot. Without further ado, let's begin. This is a video that gets progressively worse as it continues.
I would say that's false, because I've shown the video to all my friends and they said it was fake.
Okay, you do know that doesn't actually prove anything, right? Anyone could find a group of people to stand behind their content, especially when that group is literally their friends. Hell, I recently released a poll asking if the arguments in my first Ernie Clan video were good. And in that poll, 85 people voted, and 81% of that 85 people voted yes. By this logic, anytime you critique my arguments must be wrong because a small biased group of people disagree with you. There will always be a group of people who believe something. I could make a video on why the earth is flat and ask a flat earth Discord server if they thought the video was good, and them showing approval towards the video doesn't make that video correct. This argument is stupid as hell.
Even Foxfire 5, one of my first friends I've ever had online, he said that the video actually kept his attention, actually. Unlike my other videos, so I think I actually genuinely did a good job with this video.
Except I wasn't talking about whether or not the video kept people's attention. I was talking about the arguments made within the video. I've watched videos that kept my attention yet had absolutely shit arguments. Your video was not one of them, by the way. I actually found your video incredibly boring, but you get my point. If you're thinking less about how your video can get across its arguments clearly, and more about how to make your video as visually stimulating as possible, you aren't a commentator. It's not a bad thing to have fancy editing in your commentary videos if it's not overstimulating. But when I make a point about your video being bad and your first reaction is to defend the fucking editing and not the actual merit of your arguments, that tells me everything I need to know about your values as a commentator, and they are completely backwards. This video really pissed me off, and you'll definitely be able to tell that in the script.
Maybe because that's literally the truth. You literally rage bait though! Rage bait successful! Literally, I actually genuinely rage baited her. She actually got pissed off. She actually got pissed off at my video. The funk worms got into her brain.
Wait, so is it the truth or is it rage bait? You just contradicted yourself in the span of a literal second. By the way, despite him making fun of me for getting pissed off, he gets pissed off multiple times within this live stream. I won't show every example of it in this video, but you'll definitely see some examples later on.
Okay,
yeah, this video is 42 minutes long, by the way. Over a 10-minute video. A 10-minute video, and she somehow made it 40 minutes.
And your video is 4.5 hours long over a 42-minute video. 3.5 if we don't include the gameplay. And I was also able to cut down 3.5 hours of content into less than 30 minutes. This just shows the amount of dead air and incoherent nonsense that's in this stream. If you have, like, 3 hours of free time, go watch the original VOD. You'll see exactly what I mean. This image shows up multiple times in the video, and I thought I'd use this as an opportunity to point out that this guy is assumably an anti-furry.
Good job, Mushroom Girl! I wonder if she only watched this one video. I wonder if I am an anti-furry. I wonder what makes me...
Why does her accent sound like that? Anti-furry. Like, why does it sound like
I think she's Australian, I think. She's a bloody Australian, mate.
I never thought I would have to address something like this in a video, but I am not Australian. My parents are not Australian. I've never been to Australia. I was born and raised in Washington. I don't know where you got that from. That's not even how an Australian accent works. When an Australian pronounces their R's, they usually just drop it. Like, for example, instead of water, it would be water. Maybe I am Australian, that wasn't bad. And while water isn't really a word I have that much of an issue with pronouncing, if I did, it would sound more like Watto, like with a W. These are incredibly different ways of speaking. I don't see how you mix them up. You know, this isn't the first time I've been quote-unquote accused of having an accent from somewhere where I am very much not from. Like, I've been accused of being British, I've been accused of being from Boston. Like, I don't hear it. I don't get where people are pulling this shit from. Like, guys, I need your input. What do I sound like? Like, what nationality do I sound like? What place do I sound like I'm from? Because to me, I just sound like a regular old Washington American. Cause that's what I am. Like, I don't hear British, I don't hear Australian, I don't hear Boston. Like, seriously, I want you guys to... I want you guys to comment and tell me where my accent sounds like it's from. Because I've heard so many different things, and it's making me really confused.
I wonder if I'm an anti-furry, chat.
Still kind of shitty, until free content. It actually might be kind of a big shock if you're newer to my channel that I'm actually an anti-furry.
Get a job, Mushroom Girl! Literally.
Get a job.
Get a job.
Yeah, I put that on my voice box soundboard now. I'm gonna bully you with it now.
You heard that correctly. He's mad at me because I said something completely correct about him in a slightly unsure way. What the fuck are you going on about? I say you are assumably an anti-furry, and then you go on this entire fucking rant, spending time out of your fucking 3-hour live stream to prove to me that you are in fact an anti-furry, and then getting mad at me for saying that you were assumably an anti-furry. Telling me to get a job over what? Saying something correct in a slightly unsure tone? Yet I'm the one who's apparently being rage baited, yet you are getting upset over shit that should not make you upset in the slightest. If this is what makes you upset, you wouldn't be able to survive an actual rage baiter. I would also like to point out that despite seemingly being an anti-furry, his character is an anthropomorphic parrot.
I swear to fucking God. Every
It's not even a
single...
parrot.
It's barely even a parrot. Hun, I'll actually show you the fucking model. Hold on.
Bro, it's literally a what is it called? Frick, I forgot what it's called.
See, funnily enough, I've... Watch him now.
What was it called? It was called conure?
Yeah, it's a sun conure. Yeah, it is a parrot,
Yeah.
actually. See, funnily enough, I put more effort into this model than Mushroom Bros put into her entire channel, by the way. I just want to add that.
Which is entirely unrelated to anything we are talking about. I wasn't even insulting the model. My point was that you're an anti-furry with a fursona, or I guess a feathersona? I'm not a furry. Do you guys call birds fursonas? So yeah, he's getting incredibly defensive about something I never even critiqued him for. The model looks fine, chill. Though I will say, considering a lot of the animations I've posted to my channel have taken me months, I highly doubt that this singular model took more effort than all of that, plus my commentary videos, some of which have also taken months. Hell, for the infamous pro shipping video, it went through like 3 scripting drafts. Point is, I don't think that this is true.
I mean, she uses other characters for her, thing. So.
Like, he has multiple eyes, he has multiple eyebrows, see? And every single furry that's commented under my videos constantly say, yeah, how are you anti-furry if your profile is a parent? Dude, that parent, by the way, I literally have inside my house right now, and he won't stop screaming right now.
The issue isn't the parrot profile picture, the issue is the fact that your character is an anthropomorphic parrot. Liking animals doesn't make you a furry. Portraying yourself as an anthropomorphic animal does basically make you a furry. And there's nothing wrong with being a furry, the issue is that you're a hypocrite.
Even though there's people who aren't furries and they draw like anthropomorphic animals. Like, I'm literally an example of that.
The thing is that I've pretty much, like, taken this as a joke. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, I'm literally using her, like, stupid, like, persona that she made of me as the fucking thing. I'm barely even an anti-furry, but I'm still am. I just find it funny, alright?
Yet you're having so much trouble just admitting that your character is a furry, even having to bring up completely unrelated points to distract from the actual point.
Is she actually deadass gonna show my entire intro off? And she literally included only the text because she wanted to fucking, like, I guess, just yap about how bad the text is.
So you would be mad if I showed your entire intro, but you were also mad that I didn't. What the fuck?
Like, they fucking murdered her over her take on, like, pro shipping because she has one. I decided to not cover it, though, because, like, that's just being a dead horse at that point. I do, however, believe in, like, you should be able to draw whatever you want, as long as it's not, like, straight up illegal stuff.
Unless it's Souls Meant to Burn. Anything in Souls Meant to Burn that you don't approve of is not okay to draw. Despite children harming themselves and being critical of churches not being illegal, there's also a lot of illegal content in Souls Meant to Burn that you have shown no criticism for. Child physical abuse, child neglect, going out past curfew, more child neglect, possession of heroin paraphernalia, etc. Unless by illegal you mean it's illegal to draw, which in the United States would only limit you to maybe artwork depicting fictional children in pornographic situations such as lolicon, and even then, as I proved in my original pro shipping video, it's debatable whether that's illegal or not, and a more complex discussion than just it's illegal or it's not illegal. But that's only one specific kind of content that, again, does not include anything shown within Souls Meant to Burn. Even your fucking thumbnail is the PNG equivalent of a fucking landfill.
No, but seriously, the thumbnail's meant to be ironic, Mushroom Girl. Like, it's supposed to be a shitpost in itself. I mean, it literally says going to get humbled in fucking papyrus, dude.
That does not disprove my point that your thumbnail fucking sucks. It's also interesting that you used this video as an opportunity to talk about things you considered to be incredibly serious, yet decided to make your thumbnail a shitpost. You were concerned that I was a pedophile, for Christ's sake. Every second of the video has a purpose. I can't say the same about your video, considering your incredibly redundant intro that just has the same phrase flashing on screen over and over again.
It's an intro! It's supposed to be flashy! It's a fucking... Mushroom Girl, are you an actual idiot, Mushroom Girl? It's an edit! It's supposed to hook the audience, Mushroom Girl!
How does that hook the audience? It just tells you shit you already know about me based on your title over and over and over again. My video on you does much better at hooking the audience by saying things like, the video I'm covering gets progressively worse. The audience was probably thinking, really? How so? And then they continued watching to find out. That is how you hook an audience, by giving them pieces of new information that invoke curiosity. Video that's dragged out is a video with a lot of dead air, repetitiveness, or parts that don't actually add anything to the entertainment or information value.
I mean, I did also add timestamps to, if people want to skip to the allegations or ignore them, they could.
Then by that logic, you can't criticize me for having stretched out videos because you can just skip the parts you think are stretched out of the video, unless you can prove my—
Oh, that's also, and the reason why I also did that is just to copy you, Mushroom Girl, so like, get owned.
Do you think I, made up the concept of timestamps or something? I'm so confused. Is this supposed to upset me?
Again, it's also a personal preference overall. I mean, you can, I can still watch Mushroom Girl's videos. It's not like I'm like an ADHD toddler that is shaking. I'm shaking. I say skipping toilet. I can still watch her videos.
That's not what your first video says.
And the worst part is that I do want to enjoy her videos. Most of the time, she actually gives good criticisms. But her videos are just so bad, it's just unbearable to watch sometimes. Sometimes I just don't even watch a video, I just play a video game while listening to her video. That's the only way I can actually consume it.
You haven't given your audience any reason to believe that my content is dragged out slop.
I mean, people did watch a video and no one really said anything bad about it. I think I did give them a reason, Mushroom Girl.
What? So not only are you using the same flawed logic you used earlier, but it's barely even relevant. So nobody said anything bad about your video, which means you properly elaborated on how my videos are dragged out slop? That's a huge fucking stretch. Also, people did say bad things about your video. Just look at the comment section of my video on you. Hell, you literally read out one of the comments that say bad things about you later on in this live stream.
Also, unlike you, she didn't put almost any effort into the response. She just gave a blurry gameplay and an MG in the middle. That is so true. Maybe that's why her videos are kind of bad. She doesn't even try to stimulate the audience.
Fuck you mean, that's why? That was the whole point you were making. You should have known that was why from the beginning. This is probably just a case of strange wording, but God, this guy loves to word himself so strangely.
She's kind of just she's kind of just doing that. Imagine if I had my gameplay blurred. I will say though,
Yeah.
Shark Hunter does do the same, but at least his videos are short, man. His videos are incredibly short.
But Shark Hunter also makes long videos occasionally. Are those automatically bad just because you don't like his editing style? Yet it's okay in shorter videos? This logic is really strange and arbitrary.
Sometimes I just don't even watch a video, I just play a video game while listening to a video. That's the only way I can actually consume it.
Which is entirely a skill issue and
Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. I mean, you could literally do that with every other commentary YouTuber besides me because I actually put effort into my videos. That's a joke, by the way. But seriously, though, Seriously though, I mean, I'm pretty sure most people do that with commentary YouTubers in general.
I mean, yeah, sure, but that's not my fault. That was my entire point. It's a skill issue, aka, that's a you problem.
And honestly, I actually think that's kind of bad because, you know, you're not fully paying attention to the video.
So you're trying to critique content that you admit you did not pay full attention to. Yep, checks out.
Maybe that's actually the people who are making commentary YouTubers, the people that are making commentary videos' fault for not making their videos actually engaging.
No, it isn't, unless you're able to explain in detail how it's my fault that you watch too much Skibbity Toilet to be able to watch a video without Subway Surfers gameplay beside it. I found your video incredibly boring, and I still paid full attention to it and formulated a full response because I am a normal person with a normal attention span. If you cannot fully watch someone's video and pay attention to it, if it is ever so slightly boring and there isn't a bunch of visuals going on, you shouldn't be a commentator. If you don't like my editing style, that's fine. I understand. If you like videos that have more in-depth editing, that's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. The issue is that you're trying to act like me having editing that's a bit more basic than you personally prefer is not only some huge flaw in my video that literally makes you unable to properly pay attention to it, but also trying to act like it's my fault that you don't like my editing, when I feel like that's an issue with your attention span, not with my editing. You think it's adorable how Mr. Frost thinks that he can get away with saying literally whatever the fuck he wants and going complete mask-off bigot as long as he uses his god as an excuse, but the real world doesn't function under fairy tales, so—
You call Christianity a fairy? I should have included that too. I should have included that. The real world doesn't function off fairy tales. Are we being real here, Mushroom Girl?
Give me one provable distinction between the Bible and a fairy tale. Do it. Because there is none. The Christian God has not been proven to exist, and Jesus was never proven to do any of the supernatural things he does in the Bible. Maybe instead of being shocked, I actually understand the difference between fiction and reality. Be shocked that it's normalized to build societies off of fiction in the first place, and then have to coddle religious people about it like a child who still thinks Santa is real. Believe what you want, but don't be shocked when I point out the obvious. None of this has been proven to exist, and acknowledging that isn't bigoted. If you're really that bothered by people calling your religion a fairy tale, don't believe in shit that is a fairy tale. I don't know what else to tell you. In fact, here's what I say about religion in another video. This is gonna be a huge hot take, but I don't believe that I have to respect your religion. I'll respect you as a person if you have not maliciously harmed anyone, but I do not respect Christianity. I do not respect Islam. I do not respect Judaism. I don't respect religion. I respect Jewish people. I respect Muslim people. I respect Christian people. Given those individuals have not harmed anyone, obviously it depends on the person, but just the group itself, yeah, I respect them because they're human beings.
Wait, so, hold on. Can we play that?
Obviously it depends on the person, but—
Why do you not respect a religion even though, like, wait, I'm trying to calculate, I gotta calculate.
Just the group itself, yeah, I respect them because they're human beings. They're human beings who deserve rights, they deserve respect, and they deserve to be able to practice their religions. But I don't respect the books. I don't respect the religions. I think the religions are stupid, and I do not believe they are above criticism despite what a lot of people may say.
So loving your neighbor is pretty stupid, apparently, then.
Yeah, loving your neighbor, you know. Yeah, that must be really stupid, champ. That must be really stupid.
The 5 best moments on The Simpsons. In season 31, episode 15, we have Neighbor being the only one to show up to the couch gag.
Am I the only one who remembers?
Okay, but seriously, loving your neighbor because a fictional character you worship told you to is stupid, yeah. Loving your neighbor because you have genuine care for the people around you isn't stupid.
Look, here's the thing. The Bible doesn't support murder. However, it supports killing. You might be saying, wait, why killing? Not killing in general, just for, like, self-defense, or by, like, other means, like, it's necessary. Like, if someone's trying to kill you, you know? Your body's a temple, you have to protect it.
If we ignore the fact that God, according to the Bible, used a flood to wipe out almost all of humanity, including innocent children, then sure. I wasn't trying to argue against the rights of Christians. I wasn't trying to paint all Christians as bad people.
I never said that. What?
Well, once again,
Rights
you
of
did
Christian.
say we're a cult. So it's like, you're just lying at this point then.
Who said being in a cult makes you a bad person? I never said that. You're the one equating the two concepts. I do not believe that being in a cult makes you a bad person by default, and that includes religions that I believe are comparable to cults, such as Christianity, Islam, Judaism, etc.
I'm not trying to say, oh, she's just automatically, like, I'm not trying to say, oh, she's a complete bigot.
Except when you titled your video, Mushroom Girl, the Hypocritical Bigot.
I'm just trying to say that, oh, she has had a past of doing this shit.
Me not respecting religion isn't bigoted as long as I don't discriminate against people for being religious.
But you literally were saying his belief is stupid and your God is stupid. That is discriminating him, technically. You're technically attacking his belief there.
The definition of discrimination is the act, practice, or an instance of unfairly treating a person or group differently from other people or groups on a class or categorical basis, such as race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. I'm not unfairly treating anyone differently. I have a consistent and pretty reasonable belief that worshipping fiction is ridiculous. I apply this to Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, fucking Scientologists, anyone who falls under that category. However, I believe they deserve the right to practice these beliefs as long as no harm is being done to others. Where is the discrimination? By that logic, thinking flat earth theory is stupid is also discrimination because you're viewing someone differently because of their beliefs. Wow, this is the second time I've used flat earth theory as an example in this video.
I mean, also, you didn't really, like, show, like, I'm not trying to say she didn't show proof of him being a bigot. I'm just trying to say she didn't really show proof of his belief being stupid. You just said, your belief is stupid and your God is stupid. Shut up.
That's not how this works. If he wants me to take his God seriously, he needs to provide evidence that his God is real. He has the burden of proof because he is the one making the claim, which is that the Christian God is real and the things described in the Bible are real historical events. I can't prove that something didn't happen. It's Christians' job to prove that these things did happen. And if that can't be proven, then it didn't happen until proven otherwise. You know what? I can walk on water. It's true, I can. You don't believe me? Well, prove that I didn't. Prove that I'm not actually Jesus reincarnated or something and can walk on water. See how this train of logic is stupid? You can argue anything to be true if your entire argument of it being true is that nobody has proven it wrong. Hell, I could accuse you of stealing, and because you can't prove that you have never stolen anything in your life, I would automatically be correct by default, because, according to you, that's how claims and evidence work, I guess. The reason I was mocking his religious beliefs was because Shark Hunter is homophobic.
Yeah, but you were literally if you did that to any religious person, that would be offensive, Mushroom Girl.
No, it wouldn't. It would only be offensive to religious people who are homophobic. What significance would drawing gay religious people have to them otherwise? Shark Hunter wasn't mad at it because he was Muslim. He was mad at it because he's homophobic. The reason his religion is even significant is because the Quran views homosexuality as a sin, and I think I have every right to mock that. What makes his unprovable religion more important than the gay people who Shark Hunter's hypothetical god puts to eternal damnation? Gay people believe in something that's real. Muslims do not. Have priorities for the love of God, or love of Allah? Love of Darwin.
And you literally said you were mocking his belief there! You idiot!
Which is not bigoted if the belief being mocked is unable to be proven and contains doctrine that causes harm. What's your point? I never claimed that I didn't mock his religion. I just am claiming that mocking his religion is not bigoted in the way that I did so. I don't think we're on the same page here.
So
That's the equivalent of
I'm
making-
still, like, not a bitch.
That's like the equivalent of being drawing like straight Christians in front of you because you dislike Christians. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be bigoted either. Again, what the fuck is your point?
She literally admitted to making fun of his belief.
Well, yeah, did you expect me to outwardly mock his beliefs and then say, no, I would never do that? No shit, I mocked his belief. That's not fucking bigoted because his belief is unable to be proven and he's using it to harm others. That's why I said, because he's Muslim and he's mad. He was mad about gay people.
Yeah, but that doesn't justify you literally drawing gay Muslim art in front of him because he's Muslim. You idiot!
Why? Why doesn't that justify it? Drawing gay Muslims would only offend Muslims who are homophobic after all. And the fact that you also find it so offensive just shows that you also have some biases against gay people whether you know it or not. You find bigotry so disgusting, yet you're able to defend it when religions encourage it. For example, thought all Muslims were pedophiles, I would be a bigot because that is an irrational-
Oh, she's actually stupid.
thought all Muslims were pedophiles, I would be a bigot because that is an irrational assumption about an entire group of marginalized people.
Why is she even making that comparison?
I wasn't making a comparison, I was just giving an example of an anti-religious view that would actually be bigoted, but the reason why I specifically used pedophilia as an example is because that is a common stereotype against Muslims, particularly Muslim men. Since you are showing disgust towards my beliefs about lesbian Muslims,
I wasn't showing disgust in that. I was showing disgust that you were fucking drawing that in front of a literal Muslim that believes in Islam.
as opposed to a Muslim who does not believe in Islam. Anyway, that is you showing disgust towards my beliefs about gay Muslims and religion. By your incredibly vague definition of bigotry, that would be bigotry because I have a belief and you are being incredibly critical of said belief.
That would be bigotry and hypocrisy because, you know, they're both identities.
Oh, so making fun of an identity is bigoted?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can identify as a Christian because you believe in Christianity. Like,
Now, any identity at all? Alright, so basically you are not allowed to dislike or make fun of Nazis, white supremacists, fascists.
whoa! Whoa! Just flashbang.
Pedophiles, zoophiles, or necrophiles.
Wait, so that means I can make fun for being a pro-shipper?
I know that you're trying to make a joke here about pro-shippers being pedophiles, but I'm choosing to ignore that. Yes, you absolutely can make fun of me for being a pro-shipper. I mean, I wouldn't like it, but it's not bigotry.
That doesn't mean you can't criticize them. You probably should. I'm pretty sure just everyone already knows they're bad.
If everyone knew it was bad, why would people engage in these communities in the first place? The entire point of a lot of these communities is to convince you that these things are not bad. These communities wouldn't exist in the first place if everyone collectively understood that they were bad. What? You said disliking identities of any kind were bigotry all the time.
And plus, I wasn't even, like, referring to them. Like, she's just taking that out of context. Like, oh, you refer to every identity then.
That is quite literally what was implied. You can't make fun of Christianity because Christianity is an identity. That applies to every single word that is an identity. Obviously, you didn't have those specific communities in mind while making this argument, but that's why you have to be careful with the arguments you make and not use flawed fucking logic to prove a point. Because obviously your point about it being bigoted because it's an identity is flawed because there are identities that you think that it is perfectly fine and not bigoted to be against. It's not my fault for bringing up the extent of your argument, it's your fault for making an argument that can very easily be applied to these situations. That's your argument being flawed, not me taking things out of context. I know you weren't specifically referring to that, and I'm not claiming that you were.
I'm referring to, like, Christianity, you know, other identities, like,
I'm only talking about the identities that are convenient for my argument. Any identity I morally disagree with doesn't count, because that's totally an honest and valid argument. Again, if you weren't referring to these other identities that you morally disagree with, don't use an argument that could logically apply to them simply because they are an identity. It's almost like bigotry is more complex than making fun of identities. Not only that, but doesn't you being an anti-furry mean you're a bigot because furry is an identity?
Here's the thing, actually. Here's the thing. I'm joking.
Dude, you're literally. Oh my gosh. Just because you're an anti-furry does not mean you hate every single furry. I used to be an anti-furry. I'm not one anymore because I find it cringe.
I never said Ernie hated every single furry. I'm saying he has a problem with the furry identity, which makes him bigoted by his logic because he is going against an identity.
And stuff. But dude, I'm literally, like, for example, I am not a furry. I've said this already, but I draw anthropomorphic animals. We're literally chill. You're not even, like, yelling at me or doing all sorts of shit.
Ernie doesn't hate every furry. I'm not a furry and he doesn't hate me. This somehow proves my statement correct. For the love of God, can this other guy get here already? At least he had a working brain in his head.
But seriously, I don't hate all furries. You're literally assuming that because it has the word anti-furry in it. Oh my god.
If I said I was anti-gay, what would you assume that meant? If I said I was anti-black, what would you assume that meant? I'm not fucking stupid. You can't convince me that anti-furries don't dislike furries. Either own it or stop using the term because it doesn't fit your set of beliefs.
I mean, she literally did describe the alien as a degenerate, though. And you're going after their belief. Like, here's my opinion. If you're actually going to, like, go after a belief, you don't have to just... You can make fun of it, but you also have to actually give it criticism. Don't just make fun of it, actually criticize it.
Which I literally have a playlist full of videos of me doing. Also, you are admitting that it's okay for me to make fun of their belief, meaning your entire point about me using EXE as an avatar in that video to make fun of them being bigotry is null, and you should shut the fuck up and stop trying to defend it. Except him being gay doesn't actually mean anything, and
You literally describe him as a degenerate, Jesus Christ!
the word degenerate has nothing to do with gay people inherently. The issue is when you make it about homosexuality, such as you describing EXE as gay while mentioning him being a degenerate when it has no other relevance. Ernie heavily misunderstands this entire part of my video regarding the EXE stuff, and it's honestly painful to watch.
I mean, you literally made art of him cannibalizing humans, or eating humans, Jesus Christ.
Which again has nothing to do with his sexual orientation.
You literally describe him as a degenerate! You actual idiot! I'm not making it about him being gay, I'm making it about him being a degenerate!
You did make it about him being gay by bringing up being gay when it was entirely irrelevant. I never talked about his sexuality when I originally called him a degenerate. You're the one that added that qualifier and made it relevant. That's why I assumed you were talking about his sexuality. Don't bring up someone's sexuality while calling them a degenerate if you don't want to be seen as a homophobe, dumbass.
You literally said he's a degenerate. Jesus. No, what I was saying that you're... No, what I'm saying is that you're kind of like a bigot because, you know, you're using a literal gay alien.
Here you go again, bringing up his sexual orientation for no fucking reason. And you're surprised I assumed your point was about his sexuality? Come on, let's use our fucking brain here.
That you literally self-describe as a... I don't remember his name, so I'm just calling him a gay alien. I forgot his name. It's like EXE. Yeah, you're using EXE, which is your alien OC that you self-describe as a degenerate, so... And you literally said, what is no better to fight against the ADM, the anti-degenerate movement, than to use an alien that's literally a degenerate? It's so stupid.
Okay, but we're not talking about whether or not it's stupid. You can think it's stupid, weird, petty, whatever you want to call it, all you fucking want. That's your personal opinion. But it's not bigoted. Because that was the original thing you were trying to paint me as by mentioning this situation. You were trying to paint me as a bigot for doing what I did with EXE and the ADM. You have given no elaboration onto how it's actually bigoted, and you refuse to give any elaboration here. What the fuck are you talking about? Me, I guess. And by the way, for the record, EXE isn't technically gay, if only because Martians are a single-sex species that have no need for sexuality or gender classification.
But wait.
The main reason why I chose to for this particular video is because, well, what about all you against the anti-degenerate movement that he's a character who's truly within his heart and soul a degenerate? Anyway, the two videos were going to be...
I mean, let's be real here. They both look male. Like,
This looks male to you? What kind of men are you talking to? Like, Phaon, I understand, kind of, because he's supposed to have a more muscular build, but, like, I've never seen a more androgynous looking creature in my life. Even then, Phaon is also drawn with breasts. I know it's not noticeable when he has his poncho on, and I didn't really draw it well in my latest animation with him because of the chest cavity, but it's a feature I draw him with most of the time he's shirtless or in tighter clothes. It's fine if you view them as male, I don't really care, but like, you trying to claim that they look objectively male is kind of stupid.
I don't know. And plus, dude, Caroline is fucking rich, dude. She just has a fucking wad of cash in her hand, bro.
Most older people keep cash on them. That's not a crazy thing. I know you're like 3 years old and don't remember a day when people would use cash for everything, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people still use cash. And that's not even mentioning the insane amount of money-related scandals that go on in churches.
Oh, she mentions this. From what I could see in the church, I'm pretty sure mega churches do that.
Which are still churches, and therefore it doesn't disprove the thing I said.
Sometimes.
Those are mega churches. They don't do it sometimes. They do it every time.
Like smaller churches, that's clearly a local church in the webtoon.
Mega churches are local churches. Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, for example, would be a local church to people who live in Houston, Texas. What the fuck do you think local means? The only real difference between a megachurch and a regular church is the amount of people who attend and amount of money they make.
That you've literally used self just to be edgy in your webtoon.
How do you know I did it specifically to be edgy?
I don't know, you seem pretty edgy to me, in general.
Dark fantasy is just a genre that incorporates disturbing and frightening themes into fantasy. By this logic, every piece of media with dark themes is doing it just to be edgy because the themes themselves are dark. Considering edgy in this context is clearly meant to have a negative and shallow connotation, this makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you literally used to call people retards. I'm not saying that's bad, obviously. I do the same.
When? Literally, when have I done that? Also, even if that was true, you're changing the subject. This is about my webcomic, not any personal statements I may or may not have made. And calling people retards wouldn't mean I can't make a comic that portrays self-harm in a way you deem correct. Those two things are entirely unrelated.
But here's the issue, alright? Here's the issue. I feel like still, it could have been handled way better. Like, especially... Hold on.
Yeah.
I feel like the way it could have been handled is that the brother then... Logan then realizes, maybe I was a little too rude and tries to enter the bathroom, but then realizes, hey, the door is stuck.
Logan wouldn't try and apologize for that, not at that time at least, especially right after it happened when Adam was still upset. Not only was he not even fully in the wrong during that argument, but he only ended up apologizing in the next chapter because Adam apologized first, and he just wanted to get the whole thing over with. I don't know what made you think that Logan is the apologetic type, but he's not.
Or like, not working, so he busts through it and then sees Adam, hurting himself.
Logan is not breaking Jennifer's door down while Jennifer is in the house. He's not fucking stupid. Getting his ass beat with a baseball bat for what? Making sure his brother isn't dead or something? Even though the more obvious conclusion would be that Adam is upset and doesn't want to talk to him? Like, genuinely. Do you actually think that that would be a smart move to make in that situation? Like, not only is Logan just generally not an apologetic person, he's also not a selfless person. Like, sure, he may care for Adam in some scenarios, but he has not shown himself to be particularly selfless.
And, like, tries to fucking stop him.
Why? How would that benefit Logan in any way? Stop Adam? For me? Like, are you serious right now? Logan is not a good enough brother to try and stop him from cutting himself. In fact, he wants no part of Adam's cutting shit because to him, it's weird and awkward. In his mind, it's Adam's choice and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And getting involved would just be extra drama that he wants no part of. Again, what made you think that Logan would be the type of character to do this?
And then Logan then realizes, dude, I gotta realize my actions have consequences.
Adam cutting himself was his choice. Logan is not responsible for that just because he said some shitty things. The fuck is wrong with you? The censored page he shows is literally just him with bloody bandages and—
Yeah, I don't want to take the risk of YouTube fucking smiting me down on Earth. You idiot.
Okay. God, this guy is defensive. I never said it was bad that you censored the page, I just objectively stated that it was censored. What fucking drugs did you take before going live, because it's clearly making you tweak the fuck out? How is this unreasonably edgy?
I don't know, man, I don't know, I feel like it could have been I feel like the scene showing it could have been handled better. What if Adam was like sitting on the toilet, like decompressing, and then he saw the cutter?
He already owned the box cutter and brought it with him into the bathroom on purpose. Do you think Jennifer would own a pink fucking box cutter? Does this look like a woman who likes pink? No, it's obviously something he either bought himself or Caroline bought and he stole.
How did he even get it? Where did it come from?
Well, you see, it's like a genie. He rubs a lamp and a magic box cutter comes out of nowhere, and he can hurt himself 3 times with it before it goes back.
Like, I don't think they need, like, it's not that important to explain, like, where he gets a whole box cutter from, like, explain that scene.
Thank you! See, I like this guy. Almost every point Ernie makes is rebutted by him using literally the most basic logic. It's kind of embarrassing for him, actually. I'm surprised he didn't, like, kick him off the stream or something.
Yeah, but I feel like it could have been handled better. Like, there's, like, you know, imagine if there's, like, an extra, like, scene where, like, you know, in Chapter 8, where, like, they're sitting, like, he sits down, you know, just trying to, like, you know, he's stressed the fuck out, and then he sees it, and then it cuts.
Why? Why is showing his emotions first even necessary? We know that Adam is upset and angry. Why waste pages showing what we already know? These chapters have a 30-page limit after all. Thanks, Webtoon. What, as opposed to Adam sitting down with the guy who was in the last chapter showing a lack of care for his issues, who he just recently met, by the way, and talked to him in detail about his cutting?
You know, you could have said, like, dude, what the fuck happened to your arm? Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think even if you're, like, an asshole even, you'll fucking go, like, the fuck happened? At least that.
Logan doesn't have to ask. He already knows, and he's not going to bring that up because, again, it's awkward and weird. Again, that is Adam's business, and he wants to keep it Adam's business, at least in this part of the story where he's just getting to know him.
A lot of it isn't asked, but it's still shown to the viewer a lot.
Yeah, like, why is this shown? Wow, he, like, does that to himself?
Because knowing the mental state the characters are in is incredibly important to understanding the reasons for future choices they may make. Like, is that something I have to say to you, or can you not just infer that by using basic media literacy? I know I use the term media literacy a lot in these kinds of discussions, but I do for a reason. And you do not need a lot of media literacy to understand Souls Meant to Burn. Souls Meant to Burn isn't that fucking deep. It's not fucking Rick and Morty where you need a certain level of IQ to enjoy it. Like, in fact, I think there's a maximum that your IQ can be to enjoy Souls Meant to Burn. It's based on fucking slasher creepypasta. For fuck's sake. This is not some super complex, super deep story that you need so much media literacy skills to understand the basic themes. Like, no. And I mean, I will clarify, Souls Meant to Burn is complex in the sense that it is going to have a lot of different aspects to it and a lot of different plots that kind of come together to build the world that they're living in and all that fun stuff. But it's not complex in its themes, right? Like, it's not particularly complex. It is quite simple in its themes, and I think that, especially right now when a lot of stuff isn't really happening, it is very easy to understand what is going on and, for the most part, why these things are happening. And obviously not the super specific future event reasons why it's happening, but I mean the literal basics of, this is happening because it's going to relate to something later, or it's trying to contribute to the knowledge that we have of these characters. Like, again, literal basic media literacy skills. I don't understand why he's so shocked here. And I don't think he understands how important it is to set the groundwork for who these characters are and how they behave. And that does include showing Adam's self-harm issues so early on, because it's important to show how these characters behave. Because the entire fucking comic is about how these characters behave. When I harmed myself, it was always in places that weren't going to be easily visible. Why? Because hiding your mental health struggles is insanely fucking common. Adam's character is based on my own experiences, even down to the moment.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that, Mushroom Girl. I didn't know that.
It doesn't matter that you didn't know that. The point is that you decided to immediately assume that I was depicting these things for some kind of malicious or shallow purpose just because they were depicted in a way you personally didn't approve of. Whether or not you knew these things isn't the point. It's the fact that you confidently and concretely made an incredibly stupid assumption and was wrong. It's a lesson for you to be more careful on how you talk about these things, because if you just go around assuming that people are doing shit just to be edgy, it's gonna bite you in the ass, and in this situation, it did. And say it with me, kids, this is why we shouldn't be trying to paint people as shitty people over fiction.
Like,
By the way, I will assume this too. I originally assumed that her webtoon was actually self-projection, and I was correct.
Apparently you knew all along, but when it's convenient, you had no clue. Which one is it?
Oh, and also, I also kind of assumed that, overall seeing how she hates Christians, not hate, but clearly kind of discriminates against them. I mean, she's had a past of this shit, by the way.
definitely doesn't agree with.
I'm starting to think like maybe she had a bad experience with Christians.
I mean, sure, but that doesn't actually affect why I dislike Christianity. I dislike Christianity because it's a nonsensical belief that Christian majority societies are expected to blindly follow with no pushback, which ends up harming a-religious people, other religious people, gay people, and trans people. And I feel the same with any other religion that has these qualities. I base my worldview on logic, not isolated negative experiences. And if you're curious on what that negative experience is, well, I was raised in a mostly a-religious household. My father figure was religious, but it wasn't really something that affected me in any way. However, I had a great-grandmother who very much tried to push Christianity on me and my brother. It has been years since I've seen her, so I can't quite remember what denomination she followed. I want to say it was Jehovah's Witness, though. I do remember the name Jehovah being used many times, which is obviously much more common with Jehovah's Witnesses, and there were women who would come to the door of my grandma's house while we were over and teach us the Bible with, like, a kid-friendly picture book type Bible. She was very pushy on the religion with us without our parents' knowledge or consent, and it caused a lot of issues and a lot of questioning of reality, essentially, because I wasn't sure what to believe. And it also didn't help with the fact that I was suffering a lot of delusions at the time, including believing that I was a demonic entity. My childhood was a lot. That's a story for another time. But my point is, me having this experience doesn't actually affect anything when it comes to my views on Christianity. Like, maybe at most my views on Jehovah's Witnesses, but let's be honest here, Jehovah's Witnesses are barely Christian. They're their own fucking strange breed. They're in the fucking weird corner with Mormons. I don't believe that Christianity is stupid because some Jehovah's Witnesses were being kind of weird. I believe that Christianity is stupid because God has not been proven to be real. Like, that's kind of the biggest part of Christianity in all denominations. God being real, which has not been proven. Among other things that have also not been proven, but that's the biggest one. You trying to speak as if I'm not allowed to portray these topics despite the fact that these are things that happen in real fucking life pisses me off.
Not only that,
Wow, I didn't know that this was actually your own personal experience. Big shocker, Mushroom Girl. Wow.
Except when you literally say earlier that you knew I was taking from my own experiences. Oh yeah, because 13-year-olds never do drugs in real life. That would just be insane to depict in fic.
I haven't done drugs, Mushroom Girl.
Do you want a fucking cookie or something?
Well, like, most don't, but there's still a small percentage that do.
Yeah, a really small percentage. I mean, like...
A small percentage, which Matt could very well be part of.
How the fuck do you even get your hands on edibles of all things?
And yes, I know minors can't buy from weed shops, but who's to say he didn't buy it from an adult who bought it from a weed shop? Weed isn't that hard to get your hands on in Washington, even if you're a minor. But I didn't know the comic book took place in Washington. Then that would be another case of you being unobservant. 13 arrested after bringing 1,500 fentanyl pills to middle school. Teen staying at relative's house in Spanaway dies in a suspected overdose. 13-year-old Connecticut boy dies after ingesting fentanyl at school.
Why are they all 13-year-olds, Mushroom Girl?
Not only that, you literally depict these characters doing drugs. And the worst part about this is that these characters are around 12 to 13 years old.
This is the intelligence of the person who we are covering today. With access to fucking weed brownies. Weed brownies! God, you sound stupid. You think 13-year-olds having weed brownies is bad? How about you take a look at the real fucking world where children are dying of fentanyl overdoses?
I mean, I take that shit every day. I don't see the issue. I'm joking. But seriously, though, I think doing most drugs are bad because they make you addicted and shit.
But I never said that weed wasn't bad. For the record, I do believe weed is perfectly fine to consume if you're an adult and using in moderation. But even if I did think it was bad, it doesn't change the fact that weed is not a hard drug, and there has been no recorded weed overdose fatalities. All drugs are not equally bad. There's a spectrum of danger, and weed is like super mild on the spectrum.
Like, there are good drugs, like, you know, medicine.
Weed can be used as medicine, though. Ever heard of medical marijuana? Medicinal herb.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, there's legal and illegal drugs. Like, you're not going to get arrested for taking Tylenol.
If the implication is that all illegal drugs are unsafe and all legal drugs are safe, that's not how that works. Weed is fully legal in Washington, as well as a lot of other states. By this logic, weed would be completely safe. And it doesn't matter if you didn't know that Adam is a reflection of my real-life struggles, because it's your fault for assuming that I, just get off to drawing children cutting themselves?
I mean, you literally draw a bunch of fucking gore art, too.
Does she?
Yeah, she draws gore art!
Okay, what does that have to do with me getting off to children cutting themselves? Hell, all the self-harm related gore art I've drawn has been of adults, and I don't even get off to that. It's a non-sexual artistic choice. I don't see your point here. I feel like you're just grasping for straws. Oh yes, my favorite subject, SLABE.
yeah.
Mushroom Girl? You actual idiot. I censored it.
No fucking shit, Sherlock, I was joking.
So, can you explain why in your content disclaimers of your webtoon, it literally has sexual abuse in it?
I will say this. Here's the thing. The reason why I mentioned this is because the thing is that she usually depicts these issues like like she depicts it actually happening. Like with the abuse, it's physically depicted. Like visibly depicted. With, you know, the self-harm, it's literally shown directly. So I assumed that this part was also going to be completely shown.
You're lying. I did not depict Adam cutting himself, and I did not depict Logan actively getting physically abused by Jennifer. I just showed the aftermath of those actions. If sexual abuse were depicted in the same way, the actual abuse would not be shown. It would just show the aftermath of the abuse. You just made shit up, so you had an excuse to associate me with pedophilia.
And I was rightfully concerned. And I was saying that if you actually drew this, if you genuinely drew that happening, because Because right now, most of the characters at this time are around like 13 to 14 again. So I'm scared that she's gonna fully depict this happening to a character.
Your video didn't come off as scared, it came off as incredibly accusatory. That entire section of the video was you smugly asking me to explain why sexual abuse was going to be in the comic as if you're a fucking interrogator who found some super damning piece of evidence against me. Before saying, if I were to do this hyper-specific thing you have no reason to believe I would do, I would be a pedophile. You can't fucking backtrack now saying, well, I was just concerned. You didn't sound very concerned.
Or probably even a main character.
Yes, that one singular main character in Souls Meant to Burn. Also, your reasoning for suspecting child sexual abuse would be depicted in particular is stupid. I literally told you in this comment you used in your original video that they would grow up to be adults as the story continued. Did you not take note of that at all? There are also adult characters in this comic, you know. Jennifer, Caroline, hell, EXE and Phaon. They aren't in the comic quite yet, but who's to say fucking EXE doesn't get sexually assaulted or something? He doesn't, for the record, I'm just making a point here. And by the way, I'm sure somebody's going to mention that he probably doesn't know about EXE and Phaon being in the comic. Yes, he does. Later it's confirmed that he understands that the unconventional alien lovers that are described in the overview on my straw page are EXE and Phaon. He knows they're gonna be in the comic, and I assume he knows they are adults, or else he probably would have made a point to say that I'm sexualizing minors, or something.
And I was pretty much saying that if she depicted this, that would be fucking weird.
That's actually not what you said at all. You said that if I depicted this, I would be a pedophile. Very different from just calling me weird.
See, and then what I learned is that one of your friends told me, spoilers, that there's going to be a character that suffered from it.
I know that you mean that it is showing a character who suffered from it, yet not actually showing the act itself of sexual assault, but the way you worded this is really funny, because it's like, yeah, no shit, a character's gonna suffer from it, that's why there's the trigger warning. Like, somebody has to suffer from sexual assault for sexual assault to be a theme. That's kind of how sexual assault works.
Alright? And here's the thing, if you're going to add a character that fully includes a whole new maybe you should mention it, because why do you have to mention the two gay aliens and, this?
It's almost like the overview of the comic goes over the protagonists or something. No fucking way. Chris, EXE, and Phaon are also protagonists. You do know that, right? Also, again, who's to say that the characters mentioned here, that being Chris, EXE, and Phaon respectively, again, aren't the ones who got sexually assaulted? Again, to clarify, they aren't. But you see my point, right? What, are you expecting me to write, oh yeah, and a character got sexually assaulted in the overview? I don't do that for Logan's abuse, Adam's self-harm, or any other dark subject within the comic, so why would I do that for sexual abuse? That's what the trigger warnings are for!
But not mentioned like that. I think that's just a little weird.
No, it isn't. You're the one who's weird for expecting that to be in the overview, as if that makes any sort of logical fucking sense.
I also find it kind of weird how you mention dysfunctional. Like, what if they're just, slightly messed up? Maybe just a little bit messed up, but, I don't know.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, Ernie, but this is my comic. I wrote it. There is no what if. They are dysfunctional, and I know they are because I wrote them. Their dysfunctionality gets worse as the comic continues, of course, but you need to be patient and wait for the story to really kick off, and don't tell me what my own comic is going to include in the future. You're saying what if as if there's possibilities that I don't know about, yet I'm the one who wrote the comic. There's no possibilities, I know exactly what's going to happen. Also, right here you're criticizing me for essentially not making them dysfunctional enough, yet earlier you were criticizing me for not making Logan care enough for his brother. Which one is it? Should they be less dysfunctional or more dysfunctional? This is something I didn't even mention. I did not draw anyone getting physically abused, nor did I draw anyone self-harming.
Yeah, you did cut to it, but still.
There is no but still. Me not actively depicting characters self-harming or being physically abused completely destroys your argument of, well, you depict these things directly, so what if you do it with sexual assault? Simply drew the aftermath of those actions. That is a different thing. No, because even if I did draw graphic depictions of child sexual abuse, you'd have to prove that I drew it for sexual purposes and—
It would still be CP though!
Except that's not what we're arguing. You're moving the goalpost. We're arguing whether or not it would make me a pedophile, not whether or not it would be child pornography. Apparently you being a weirdo is my—
Pedophile now?
That is not what I said, and you know that. You're just bullshitting. So when you directly name drop the term pedophile to describe me, you're not calling me a pedophile, but when I call you a weirdo, that's me calling you a pedophile. You know what? Sure. Oh, somehow, and justifies treating me like I'm some kind of disgusting person for—
Again, I said that you're not— I don't think you're a pedo, Mushroom Girl.
I literally never said otherwise.
I don't think you are. I'm just saying that if you depict it in this way, I'm going to be concerned.
Again, that is not what you said. You said that it would make me basically a pedophile. Your exact words. Something you assume I'm going to do in the future. Do you understand how ridiculous that is?
And plus, the thing is that they're currently, like, at 14, alright? Like, still, like—
But seriously though, why is this going to be in a webtoon? It genuinely adds nothing to— it literally adds nothing.
How do you know that? It hasn't fucking happened yet.
Again, like, what I'm saying here is that it kind of adds nothing to it, really, unless if it's not going to be handled well.
Except that's not what you fucking said. You said that it wouldn't add anything to the webcomic, period. Not that it wouldn't add anything to the webcomic if it wasn't going to be handled well. You're adding on random shit. Abuse is a dark topic as well as a modern, aka contemporary, issue. Use basic media literacy skills.
Again, that's like, I'm glad she's clarifying this. Thank you, Mushroom Girl.
You are not fucking welcome. I should not have to clarify to someone old enough to have a commentary channel that the reason there will be dark themes in a dark fantasy comic is because the comic is a dark fantasy. Fuck media literacy, where's your regular literacy?
But the main point of the video was about bigotry, though. So yeah.
Oh, I see. So anything you say that isn't part of the main section of the video can't be criticized. You can just say whatever the hell you want and nobody can say anything because it doesn't even matter anyway. That's awfully convenient, isn't it? Well, conveniently, if you disagree with any of the points in this video, just keep in mind that it wasn't actually the main part of the video and therefore can't be criticized. Which part is the main part of my video? Well, it changes depending on what you're criticizing, of course. Glossed over it like a dumbass, but, you know, we all do that
I'm looking at your
sometimes.
comments.
And then I remembered what else is in Chapter 4, and I either, one, think he's a fucking illiterate dumbass, or
I'm also pretty sure I did also miss out on that too.
if you miss out on large chunks of entire chapters, you shouldn't be doing any sort of media analysis, especially when it's to paint someone as a bad person.
I'm pretty sure I was just casually reading to get, you know, the overall plot, alright? Goddamn.
Which is why you miss large chunks of said plot by being a fucking idiot.
And the thing is, too, I did read the webtoon. I did. You want to know the proof? Let me open up the blind real quick. This— oh wait, where the fuck did it go? Oh wait, you know, this entire thing, I did not put this in the video because it would become an hour long, because it would be a summary of the entire webtoon. But yeah.
So I ended up getting my hands on this entire thing, and while I won't be showing any of it or mentioning anything in particular because it was apparently leaked without his consent, it further proves that he barely paid attention to the fucking comic. Oh, trust me, I'm itching to cover this thing, but again, leaked without consent. He is, I believe, planning to rewrite it and make it public in some way, which, if he does, oh boy, I absolutely will be covering it. I assume it's going to be in this part 2 video that he's planning to make. I'm not 100% sure, I'm just guessing. But yeah, Ernie, if you're watching this, I'm ready for whatever you're gonna throw at me. Whatever beautiful, amazing, perfect critiques you are going to throw at me or my webcomic, I'm ready for it, and I'm gonna cover it. So, do your worst. In the beginning of Chapter 4, Matt shows Adam what is assumed to be his self-harm cuts. Then, Matt asks Adam to show him his self-harm cuts. He does not say self-harm cuts, it is simply inferred that that is what is being talked about, especially considering the panel that was shown earlier that he had missed.
Well, I slightly missed something. That means I didn't fucking read it. Jesus Christ.
And Adam says no, right? And even if you missed that panel at the beginning and therefore had no clue what they were talking about, once you get to Chapter 8, where Adam is harming himself, would you not immediately think, oh, so that's what that was talking about back in Chapter 4? Like, you wouldn't immediately get that context even if you had missed the context given in Chapter 4?
Sometimes some people are built different, Mushroom Girl. I'm a little special, alright? Just a little.
The amount of excuses this guy makes, I swear. He went from, well, I put effort into this character, therefore it can't be a furry, to, well, it's not the main part of the video, to, I'm literally retarded. Like, what the fuck are you on about? Just admit you shouldn't be talking about these things if you aren't going to put the effort into comprehending it. This is the guy who wants to claim that Souls Meant to Burn is evil. This is the guy who wants to claim that Souls Hyperbole is a concept where
What?
My name is Rita.
Souls Meant to Burn has all these disgusting things in it that shouldn't be
I never said it was evil. I said it was kind of bad. Because it's bad writing.
shown, and implied that I was a bad person for creating it. No, whatever the fuck. This is the guy who wants to paint me as a shitty person for drawing a fucking comic.
Oh, wait, also, if I missed out on that, doesn't that technically mean that your webtoon is bad because I missed out on that? Which would be crucial to understanding?
You basically responded to me saying you missed a bunch of shit with, well, I'm retarded. But now you're basically saying, I'm retarded and that's your fault somehow. Is this guy... Well, I guess he already answered my question. Yet he refuses to comprehend any aspect of the comic.
I didn't comprehend it. I just missed context. Jesus.
Which means you didn't comprehend it.
I will say, though, some of my criticisms still apply. I feel like it's kind of lazy and how it's just kind of just not addressed. Later, I think it's kind of covered up by a hoodie. It's all perfectly fine.
There is no reason for it to be addressed in Chapter 9. This chapter was more going into Logan's relationship with Tucker and Adam coming to terms with the estrangement of his mother. Adam's self-harm issues will be a consistent theme in the comic, it just isn't being addressed right this moment and you're upset about that.
And again, I will say this. You did not do well at all in addressing my bigotry allegations. You said that because he's a homophobe, that kind of justified you making gay Muslim art, which, first of all, again, that's bad.
No, it's not, and you have given me no reason to believe it is. Of course, there are the insanely tone-deaf arguments that imply that real people's actual fucking struggles are this disgusting, horrible thing that—
Again, she's assuming that, right? She's assuming that I believe that, oh, that's bad, this bad. Like, I know people go through struggles.
Yet, according to you, it's inherently bad for a grown-ass woman to draw children having those struggles.
Let me read this. Just by off chance, this Ernie person sees my comment. Hi there, CSA survivor and former stuff here. What the fuck is wrong with you? No, serious. What the actual hell? Why didn't you tell me this? God damn. You just like hopped into my fucking stream like an hour ago and just called me a fucking chicken nugget with like dipped in hot sauce or something.
Do they have to declare all their trauma to you for them to be in your live chat? And furthermore, why do you need someone with this trauma to be actively present to respect their struggles? Shouldn't you have the same views on it, whether or not a CSA victim is in your live chat or not? What would be the benefit to knowing this information?
Again, I simply didn't think Mushroom Girl was also an SH. I didn't know she did that to herself, alright? God damn.
Again, why do you need to know my past and self-harm to not say things that are incredibly disrespectful to people with those struggles and even accuse me of depicting self-harm for some kind of nefarious or shallow purpose? The point isn't that you're supposed to know everyone's struggles. The point is that you're supposed to not assume the most uncharitable thing about every person you come across that does something with fiction you personally don't like.
Alright, you know, if you took a single step outside or decide to consume any sort of media outside of fucking Lanky Box, there she goes, fucking insulting me.
I would show a compilation here of times where you have made attacks on my character in this live stream, but I don't even have to because there are multiple examples within the parts that I've shown you in this video, so, you know, you're a fucking stupid ass hypocrite.
But, the main part of the video, which is her bigotry, I think it's starting to become more true.
Because it apparently wasn't true before.
Because she quote-unquote clarified that the reason why she made art, gay Muslim art in front of Shark Hunter was because he's a bigot. Just because someone's a bigot doesn't mean you need to then become bigoted too.
Well, obviously, but I wasn't being bigoted. That's the entire fucking point. If I, for example, responded to him being homophobic by calling him a terrorist or something, then yeah, that would be bigoted and that would not be justified by him also being bigoted. Except the thing I was doing wasn't bigoted and was done in a completely valid context. Sure, it would be bigoted if I did it towards a Muslim who was not homophobic, because that would be me assuming that that Muslim is homophobic just because he's Muslim, which would be stereotyping that individual based on his religion. But if the person has proven themselves to be homophobic, especially after using their religion as an excuse to be homophobic, that's not bigoted. There is nothing bigoted about what I did because the Muslim that I was targeting was actually homophobic. This isn't a case of just because they're bigoted, I can be bigoted too. No, it's a case of me not assuming that someone was homophobic simply because of their religion. It was a case of me knowing that someone is homophobic based on their individual actions and mocking that using his religion, again, without trying to perpetuate any kind of stereotypes or paint Muslims as bad people, just for being Muslim.
It already happened 2 times. It's incredibly petty and pretty childish. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Childish? Sure. Bigoted? No. Also, you are not calling me childish when you say fucking, like fucking, as if you don't want your mommy to hear you say bad words. Come on now. So, my final thoughts are basically just that this VOD fucking sucked. I don't know how he said these things and thought it was, you know, smart things that he said, especially after that one guy was constantly debunking him. Like, oh my god, it's so fucking funny. But, yeah, I'm pretty excited for that part 2 video. It's definitely going to be laughably bad, but hey, Ernie, prove me wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. I want you to make this amazing video that gives amazing critiques of whatever you're gonna talk about. I assume Souls Meant to Burn, if that, like, whole synopsis thing is gonna be in it. I'm not sure, though, you know. It's your video, only you would know what's gonna be in it until it comes out. But, yeah, prove me wrong that it's gonna be shit. Prove that it's actually gonna be a good video with good critiques. I'm excited, I'm waiting for it. But, yeah. Have a great day. See you in the next video. Read Souls Meant to Burn, and goodbye.